Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete and lifestyle coach. And we have a special guest. He's been on before, and I know his journey more than most, but I wanted to bring him back because he's doing some wonderful things out there. And I wanted to share John's story with our community and certainly the first of the year. Man, this is special. So, John, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into your story.
Yeah, so John Ely, I'm the owner and founder of ProCare Pest Services. We offer termite, pest, do mosquito work. We just this year we actually got into sealing homes from critters, and so exclusion work is what it's called. And so we do the exclusion. Our customers are residential homeowners. We live in Georgia. There's a lot of bugs, so I always say most people have a bug company. Might as well have the best company, and we certainly we're the best. So commercial, we do a lot of businesses as well, uh,
Hmm.
but usually that comes from our residential customers that are very happy with how we take care of their home and we'll do a good job for their business too. So.
Awesome. I'm amazed when I know your story a little bit more than most. And I always look at skills that we develop over the years. And I know that part of how you got introduced to what you're doing was cold calling. I mean, you're absolutely testing your skills every day. So, did that, how did that help you in your business today?
Yeah, I remember I was going to BYU, Idaho, out west. I'm from Georgia, but
Hmm.
went out west to church school for college and got recruited to go sell. And I was doing a business major, and I knew right away the first week of selling, I sold nothing, and I was extremely frustrated. I went to a full 2 weeks by the time I finally made my first sale. But I could tell right off I was learning more outside of college than I was in. There's a lot of things I got from college. Learning how to do Excel, use Excel better, understanding financial spreadsheets and things like that. But
Hmm.
actually, what it takes to run a business from adding customers, of course, is the blood flow of a business. But if you can add customers, you're better at saving customers. I find those go really hand in hand. And just learning how to um, just connect with people. That
Hmm.
honestly, when you're doing door to door, they don't want to connect with you, you know. And I get it. I get it. I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides of the door. And so yeah, being able to have a personality. Some people do it the wrong way too. I watch
Yes.
a lot of door to door guys that are just pushy, and sometimes in the markets ask them to sell it at ridiculous prices where it doesn't make sense for the customer, and
Yeah.
so they're not looking out for the best interest of the customer. And so I believe, with Pure ProCare, what I love about, having done my own company is I can make sure that when I'm talking to a customer, I control that it is a win-win for both sides, and it's not just, me trying to get more revenue, but it's actually us giving them the best service uh,
Hmm.
at a great price. I mean, so
Yeah, it was evident because I remember back in 2014 when you started, and it was like I remember you just getting your feet wet and getting out there, and then I don't know how many years went by, but there was a number of years I ran into you at your granddad's funeral or memorial at the Georgia, I think, Veterans Cemetery,
yeah.
and I hadn't seen you in many, many years. And so when I asked you how are you doing, like give people a little a frame of reference. So you've been in business 11 years. Help them understand because I love when businesses scale because it teaches us so much. But give us an idea of that first year of one truck and then where you are today and what you had to do to really grow the business.
Yeah, there's a lot to that question. I would say, to understand where I came from was the sales side. And after selling door to door for myself, I was asked to run teams. So I was used to growing. So to answer your question of growth, I was used to growing by about 3,000 customers a summer. We do it in 4 months
Mm-hmm.
for college students. And then we would add it. And that's 3,000 customers. It's about $1 million in new revenue. So I came into it thinking like, hey, we're gonna grow really fast. I knew I needed the first couple years to kind of build a quality service because the whole
Mm-hmm.
reason I even started ProCare was I wanted to be able to promise something that I believed was in the best interest of the customer. The company I was working for, we were great at selling it, and we were told it was going to be in their best interest. But when it came down to it, most of my customers weren't very happy with what they had been sold, and so that just bothered me. And so
Mm-hmm.
I talked to the company about that. Eventually, that's really where ProCare started was, and so we kind of approached it from a different view. A lot of companies are like, hey, we have this great product that we've created, and so now how do we get customers? How do we sell it? For me, I'm like, I know how to sell pest control. I know how to market it. It's just how do we build a good product? And so it did start off as just me out there. I would add an account. I would service the account myself. And actually, even before that, I worked for a small local company that I needed certain licensing I didn't have, and so I had to make things work. And that's a huge entrepreneur. I think talent and something I've seen in other entrepreneurs is they find a way to make it work. Like
Mm-hmm.
you hit a roadblock, there's the solution. We don't know what the solution is in the moment, but you figure it out. So I found a solution with working with a local small company that helped me really sharpen my skills at knowing how to take care of customers and actually provide top-notch pest service. And so yeah, that was my process at the beginning was learning from others and doing it myself, and then eventually adding a technician. My father, he's a pilot, he's Delta pilot, so I joke with him. He got licensed. He went and took the test, and I teased him he would treat bugs by day and fly planes by night, and he just wanted to help. He's like, yeah, man, I'm just here. And I thought it was funny because he'd treat these homes, and these people would, they probably just thought, this man in his 50s, just still doing bug business. They actually probably flew the airplanes they flew on. So that was great of him to help. But he, um, yeah, so we that's how we built it. Was just kind of adding a tech here, dad helping here and there, just with treating. He didn't do anything other than taking care of customers so I could sell it.
Yeah.
And then eventually we hired more techs, and um, I think honestly at that time we were living in his basement. I think he helped so we could get out.
There was a little incentive there.
But no, they were great. But yeah, it took longer. Is my point. I
Yeah.
came from adding on $1 million a year, knowing we could grow it, but you have cash restrictions when you're starting off. You gotta pay yourself, and luckily I'd saved a lot of money going into it, so I could live off of some of that savings and not take the money from the business. And but I was 23. My expenses were pretty low, so it was nice. I mean, I was young. I didn't have a ton of business, or other experience. So yeah, definitely some pros and cons, but yeah, we grew it just kind of chunk by chunk. That first year, we had 200 customers. It was like $40,000. I showed my team. I was like, and that's revenue. That's not profits. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's top line revenue. That means, I had to live on way less than that. By the end of it, we really had no profits. So yeah, I had to live on savings ultimately. And then yeah, the next year we were able to grow faster. It took us 5 years. So we're 11 years in now. So at 5 year mark, we hit that $1 million point in revenue. Um, and then and then it took us the next 5 years. We've hit 5 million now. So we're it's starting to snowball, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll be setting records here. We're already the fastest growing local company in Georgia. There's
That
only
is awesome.
there's only a few companies out there that are local that are close to what we're doing right now.
What do you think? Because I don't know what the exact number is, but it's like 80% of the business fail in the first year. What got you out of that first year that you could look back on and say, hey, we got this right? And it helped us to grow out of that first year.
I mean, there can be so many reasons I think businesses fail. I think one is a lot. I mean, if you watch Shark Tank or anything like that, they say cash is king. I think that, I mean, ultimately, if you're out of business, it's like Monopoly. If you're out of the game, it's because you ran out of money. So it's like,
Hmm.
what caused you to run out of money? Well, you could have ran out of money because the owners had to take too much from the business than what the business could pay them.
Hmm.
Some businesses are partnerships. There could be a huge dispute and disagreement, especially just like relationships when when money gets tight and there's disagreement on how that money should be spent. That can be a huge issue for marriages and things like that. And so I think so Dave Ramsey, he always said the fastest ship that sinks is a partnership, and that could be why partnerships can work out, but
Yeah.
the reason they don't is disputes amongst owners on how much money should be taken from the business for each other, and
Yep.
how much who's putting in more work for the same pay, those kind of disputes of equal equal effort in the growing business. But yeah, I think
Oops. We lost your audio there for a second. There
yeah,
we go. Okay.
yeah, businesses could fail too, just because they just have a lot of expenses that they've had to invest in, maybe some research and development or other things, but then the
Yeah.
product actually isn't selling and growing. So yeah, I would think those would be some of the common reasons.
What do you think because my brother, before he retired, he was a pharmaceutical recruiter, and we would always have conversations about how do you hire? How can you attract talent? What do you look for? So obviously you want to duplicate yourself because you've been successful, but what advice would you give, or what have you learned in hiring and building a team that you could share with our community?
I can train the technician, but I can't train the person. I think it's ultimately when you're hiring a person. It's really hard in an interview, an hour to get to know someone, and you
Hmm.
don't. It's almost better to put them to work. And there's guys I've hired, and then I got out there the first day, and then I'm constantly telling them every little thing on how to, what to do. Where others like they take initiative, right, and they get out and they're like, all right, what now, John? Okay, can you want me to do this again? And they're very like just proactive, right? Um, but there's a lot. There's a lot. I always tell my managers because they'll get sometimes you can get frustrated with an employee, and I'm like, every person's gonna have things that bother you about them. Maybe you have a guy that's always on time. He does everything right, but he's a real negative person. That one thing. It's just how much are you willing to tolerate sometimes. I think being
Hmm.
patient is huge. Um, I think I think I do have 4 kids, and that's probably helped. A lot of my employees will ask me, like, John, like you don't get angry a lot, like you stay pretty even, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's because the dad in me a little bit's my problem, my a little bit my nature of how I was raised. But yeah, I don't get super angry super fast. But I think that's important with keeping talent because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, if you to me the biggest key is, and I tell this to my managers all the time, is of course finding the right person. So don't worry about how much pest control knowledge they know. Make sure that they're a good fit, that they care, and that's why I picked the name ProCare, that they care about what we're doing, and then make sure that they're bought in. Because the more that technician is bought into what we're doing as a company and understands our vision, and they see how their day-to-day job impacts the company. So we have quarterly meetings, annual meetings, for the company updates, and then the technicians kind of have local like just training meetings pretty much every week. Um, but as far as getting them bought in and having the vision, those quarterly and annual meetings are big on making sure they understand how their job connects
Hmm.
to the company, and how wasting time or wasting gas or Milking the clock ultimately can hurt their pay and what we can afford as a company to continue
Hmm.
having benefits and stuff like that. So they kind of see how their pay and what they're making and their job satisfaction is connected to helping the company grow.
That is awesome. What do you think when there's a distraction challenge out there? Like the average person's watching 4 hours of TV, consuming, and to over 2 hours of social media of consumption. And I think we're born to create, like create a company, create whatever. How do you manage distractions that allow you to do what you need to do?
Yeah, so my personal life, I there are certain I think what we're attracted to are those dopamine hits, right? When you're scrolling, you get
Yes. Oops,
the
you. Okay, there we go.
level,
It just was for a second.
the audio piece. Oh, you know what? I think it's my headphones. I think I can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It went out for like 1 second, but you're good.
I think that's what's happening. Is my headphones are
Yeah, yeah. I think you're really clear now. Okay.
all right. So so yeah, I would say to eliminate distractions.
And not just personal, but just any distractions. I don't want to say it's just personal, but we have 24 hours in a day, and how businesses grow. I've seen the the skill of managing distractions. I'm just curious about how you approach it.
Yeah, you know, I've got an 11-year-old, two 9-year-olds, and a 7-year-old, and so if I'm not working, I'm usually spending time with them.
Hmm.
So I think they probably help me eliminate a good bit of distractions. Um, just I guess the family life kind of takes
Hmm.
any time I have. Um, but yeah, I think just I think the more motivated you are, honestly, in growing your business, and that becomes like what you want to do. Like I want to grow
Hmm.
this. I'm excited about.
Oops, it stopped for a second there, the audio. All right, say something because it. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Oops.
We got disconnected. Okay.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Okay. Oops. I lost you. Okay. I'm hearing something.
How about now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
Cool.
good. Whatever you
Awesome.
did, it worked. Okay.
Okay. S- So yeah, can't remember where except for distractions.
Distractions, just that you with the four kids, they keep you focused on eliminate. But like with business, you're approaching every day. There's a lot of things. A lot of people are grabbing at our attention. How do
Hmm.
you like be clear about what you're doing during the day? Have any habits that you have created that's helped you to be clear and have that focus?
Yeah, I have a pretty big routine. So get up, do my exercises in the morning because if I don't do it in the morning, I'm exhausted when I get home, and my family, my wife expects me to help. By that point, too, with the kids. So I try to wake up early, which means I got to go to bed early. Going to bed between 9 and 10, so not super early, but if I want to get up at 5, 6, be done with exercises by 8, but so, yeah, my phone starts ringing pretty heavy at between 8 and 9 with customers.
Hmm.
We've grown a management team that really handles more and more of the early morning stuff, so it's probably not as bad now as it used to be. Um, but and then the day really starts at 9. Sometimes in the summer I can push my day starting at 10, which is late. and just have some family time in the morning. And I do that because in the summertime, I'll be out training guys and talking to customers till about 9 o'clock at night. So,
Okay.
so sometimes I'll start my actual like getting out of the house work day. Sometimes I'm on my computer doing some helping customers or employees out in the morning. So I try to handle my team between like 9 and 10 as
Hmm.
far as like the operation side goes, because especially over this next couple of years, I'll be more and more involved with just the sales and marketing side, and because I've got great people on the service side to run that, and so that allow me to us to grow faster
Hmm.
with my focus there. But yeah, um, that's kind of my schedule that I keep. But yeah, I get home, especially this time of year, it's a little earlier because it gets dark early, and so our sales team kind of wraps things up at dark. So 6 o'clock or so, and
Hmm.
then it gives me a little family time in the winter time, more family time at night. Put the kids to bed and things, eat family dinner. But yeah, in the summertime, my wife knows that that's like go time for me.
Hmm.
So I'm out till 8, 9, which means I get home close to 10, and then the time to go to bed so I can get up early, do the
Yeah.
workouts in the morning.
What are you most excited about as we turn the 2025 and we're into 2026? What are you most excited about this year?
We have a lot of growth potential this year. We grew 3 years really heavy, to get from that 1 million to 5 million mark, and so this last year, 2025, just wrapped up 2025, was about um, just kind of getting the financials right to get to attract investors. Really, just banks is what we're looking at is just an SBA loan or something
Mhm.
similar, and so that'll give us the cash to grow. In our business, it's the cost per customer. That's the way I look at marketing. By the way, is
Mhm.
when I decide like what kind of marketing should I do, it's like, all right, how much can I get a customer for? It usually about 200. So if I'm doing something and maybe it's Google Ads, and I put a lot of money in Google Ads, and then I average like, okay, this is how many customers we got from Google Ads. This is how much we spent, and it's like 300, $400. I'm like, I know I can do it cheaper. And so if I'm paying a sales rep going door to door, and we're paying him under, paying him 100 to 200, then we're in a sweet spot. Like that works. So it's really comes down to what's the cost of adding a customer, because we're a reoccurring
Mhm.
service, so we don't make a lot off of each service, but over time, it's we want to hit your margins and make sure you're acquiring customers. So we're kind of at that spot where, hey, we can invest a lot of money into adding customers, and really grow. So I'm most excited about that. We're opening our South office. That's really exciting too.
Mhm.
Um, I'm surprised that didn't come to my mind first, because we've worked hard to get to so Peachtree City. So right now we
Mhm.
operate north of I-20, we have a technician pretty much every city north of I-20, but now we're starting to get down into Peachtree, that whole Forsyth. Um, uh, I'm getting to know the South Side a little better. Our office will be in Tyrone,
Mhm.
Fairburns down there, Noonan. So that whole area, and then we'll start making our way over to McDonough. So we're not over there yet, but we'll cover the
Mhm.
whole South Side by next year.
What do you think? Because systems are so critical to growth. What systems has worked for you to grow to get from 1 million to 5 million that you might be able to share with our community because it's so critical to growth?
Yeah, there's a lot of software options out there I mean, definitely for our industry. I'm sure for many industries,
Hmm.
and they are critical. I mean, I laugh sometimes because I remember when I first started, everything was paper. Like you would make a sale, you fill that out on paper. I'd
Yeah.
have to bring it to the office, all of our sales to the office at the end of the night, and then the technicians in the morning would pick up their paperwork. There'd be a data entry lady, so at least we had computers to enter it into the system. But there's someone
Hmm.
that was just paid to do data entry, and then the appointments would go out with the technicians, which also meant the technicians had to come to the office to pick up their paperwork. Now, our app, the technicians can see their appointments in the future. They just,
Mhm.
the GPS takes them there. So yeah, it's all the product information we used to fill out, all the state, regulatory. This is how much I use. This is where I used it, and you have to put on all these details into your service slips that you leave with customers.
Mhm.
Now those are emailed instead of printed in the truck. So there's so many things that just going electronic has helped with. But I've seen some companies that are still paper, and I would say you're spending a lot more money,
Yeah.
just not making that jump to being more electronic.
Yes.
Um, we have automated notifications, that tell customers 2 days before. They can customize things to,
Mhm.
so that's important to have in a software for me is, customer tells me, I only want you on Saturday, and I want to be done before noon. It's cool. We'll
Mhm.
put in our system that you want that 9 to 10 slot every, on Saturday when your service comes due. It's typically a quarterly treatment because our pest control products last 90 days. So we usually
Mhm.
do that service quarterly. But so yeah, I need a system to remind me. I need a good system that does the logistics well. So that's like the operation side, right? The billing, the reminding customers if they haven't paid. So definitely having a software that's very robust and can do all those things and do them simply. Like to me, a
Mhm.
good judge of a good system, because I'll look at some software and I can tell, like, I remember Windows 95 and this looks like Windows 95 to me. So you can tell it's old. And
Mhm.
with technology, they don't do a very, like, technology from, and I'm not a huge tech guy, but I know enough that that's hard to build. It's like building a house and then you're adding an add-on, and
Mhm.
it's much better to have a foundation when they build the system to then build on. And so some of those older systems that they try to add these new features into, it just doesn't, the add-ons don't quite work in technology. But as well as cleanly as having a software that's, has a fresh start. So some of the newer companies, I find, are usually have more of what we're looking for in more of a simple way.
Mhm.
um, so it's easy to teach your team how to use them, because and I got to know it really well. So my if when team members have questions about, hey, this customer wants to pay for the year, and how do we make sure that their billing is annual but we're still coming quarterly for their service,
Mhm.
I got to be able to help them, or they want a custom schedule. And so, like, yeah, so yeah, having a good system. Communication side,
Mhm.
um, I think you got to have a good communication system with your team. I find texting can be a problem when people use Apple and Samsung. So having a good technology that maybe your team uses that allows you to communicate voice and
Mhm.
text. There's several options out there. But yeah, I'd say definitely have to have something that makes it easy, especially for me, because I'm out talking to customers and I can't just pick up a phone call. So having a software that's a system that I can, see these alerts and then just send a voice message back
Mhm.
between talking to customers. Um, and you got to be able to get a hold of everybody. Sometimes I like having group chats, and group chats don't work well in texting, again, with different platforms.
Mhm.
So yeah, to me, there's kind of like your operations software, which hopefully
Mhm.
has your billing, and your for a service company, we have the logistics side of it. Um, and then you've got your um, communication side, and then you've got your payroll software. And so it can be a lot of different software companies that you're you can be running. And you do want to simplify it. You definitely don't
Yes.
want, your payment, like for me, we process payments, that's part of our merchant or our operation software. So I
Mhm.
definitely don't want like a credit card processing that then I have to process a payment and then go into my main system and enter that payment in for that customer. You really want, systems that work together, and preferably if you can get everything in one house, your communication and everything, that's best. But it's hard. Some software that it's gets really robust.
Yeah.
Like ours does have a communication feature, but it's not really what up to what we want it to be, and so we use a separate one. But yeah, it's kind of an, if they improve it enough, we might just
Mhm.
I'd rather consolidate into one system. But
Yeah,
yeah.
there's always like it seems like with software, like I always wanted this one software to work for a community, and I just kept after them I'm not after them, but making sure our team was using that and it just wasn't working up to the standards until I found something else. What do you think with AI? Because my partner 2.5, 3 years ago, he was saying, Pete, are you using AI? And I was going, oh no, I'm having fun doing podcasts. I'm not doing any of that AI stuff. But I had an AI moment that I literally fell out of my chair in emotion. Have you had any similar experience with leaning into AI that has opened up opportunities for the business?
Um, I think AI has a bit to go. I know there's a lot of AI that goes into like after hours calling. So as a local company, we have a lot of people that um, office team members that have families and want to be able to do things on Saturdays. And so I think AI is really good, but it's really good on the sales side. I think it has a long way to go on like if a customer's upset, an AI
Mhm.
bot's not going to handle
Yeah,
that situation
totally.
super well.
Yep.
Or if a customer wants to pay a bill, it can't process a payment. AI and as far as what I've seen of it is good, is really good at a customer. I'm interested or I have some questions about what you do. It's really good at answering any question. Like it's very impressive actually on the sales side and even scheduling the appointment. Oh yeah, could you guys do Saturday? It's very good at suggesting too. It's actually a pretty good intuitive sales rep where it's like, yeah, you know what, we can come on this day, which is good. You know, sales. You don't want to like, oh, so you ready to start? You know, I that's what I learned about sales. Is it's never there's never really a moment where it's like, so you want it? It's just more of like, hey, so we're going to be here on Saturday. You know, at 9 o'clock. Does that work well for you? So it's very good at assuming the sale. We call it in sales,
Hmm.
and so the AI is very good at that side of it. It's also good at looking over data, like call data. So I know our phone system has an AI. It's an extra cost, but but it'll analyze the phone calls and give feedback and
Hmm.
show the manager who's running the office, hey, this person did really well at this. This customer brought up these complaints. This is how the individual handled it, and so it does a lot of good things for I think training and feedback
Hmm.
for administrative staff. Um, and then the only other thing I've really had AI involved with is the sales training too. Sales reps can have an app that records the conversation and then gives app feedback, so I can see like, hey, here's this is what you said to the customer. This is that they told you no, thank you, you know, and you know your response, you know, could have been better. Or they told you they had this company and so just so you know this is you know what they're likely paying
Hmm.
and what that service that company the service that company delivers. And so but it gives in such the AI just consolidates it, right? It's a the person's talking to 100 maybe 50 to 100 people in a day, and it's 8 hours, and then I can use AI to look at those recorded conversations and nitpick. I don't have to listen to 8 hours of audio. It
Hmm.
kind of consolidates it, picks up the conversation, and then gives me an AI summary of each audio. And so I can go, oh, this one was a quick no, you know, this one was an actual long conversation, and this is the highlights. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into that. I'm gonna re-listen to that conversation because it's kind of flagged it as maybe some a place where I can give some good feedback and let them listen to it.
Hmm.
And that's huge. Is you know, it's one thing to tell a person like what they did wrong. It's another for them to hear it and then kind of go, okay, I can, yeah, I see where my response could have been better. So,
Yeah, that's really good. We say like HI, human intelligence, is always going to trump it
mhm.
because if we depend too much on that artificial stuff, it becomes very artificial. What would you say if you had to advise an 18-year-old John based on what you've discovered in growing a company? What advice would you give your 18-year-old John?
Um, I don't know. I don't know if there's nothing I would do different. Um, hmm, I don't know. I can't think of anything. To be honest, I thought like would I give myself better advice, to learn something specific. Um, I know. Yeah, I would say do business. I think at 18, I didn't know, I graduated from high school. I did a lot of sports. I knew I wanted to serve a mission for my church, so that was I went to a semester of college before leaving on my mission. I'd say those were all really good choices for me. My mission
Hmm.
taught me a lot, helped prepare me for life. Um, and then yeah, I knew I liked business. I wanted to do business law, but
Hmm.
that was kind of confirmed as I got home and started doing sales that, I didn't wanna really be a lawyer as much as I just liked business, and so, and I'm really glad I made that decision, especially talking and working with a lot of lawyers and now, um, yeah, I'll take running the business any day, but yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, I feel like I made some good choices along the
Yeah,
way. I don't know. Read good books. I feel like I've
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I
that's
don't have a
good.
good answer for that. I
No,
wish I
that's
had
good.
something.
It is. I like it because I remember I chose business law over typing back in high school. And I was going like, if I had to do it over again, I would learn how to type early because I forgot everything in business law. And it was just like it was a it was a macho thing to take business law versus some of the people who were in typing. You just didn't think they had what a future of what was going to happen that you needed skills like that. And I was going, man, I'm still a one one hand typer, but I probably would have been better to learn how to effectively type. Okay, so I want tell our viewers how can they get a hold of you, and then I have one more question for you because I want to be respectful of your time. Okay.
Yeah, you can get a hold of me at my email, john@procarepest.com. It's JOHN at pro, and then care, care, pest, pest.com.
Awesome. John, what would you say? What would be the one thing that you would want our viewers to take home from our podcast today?
I would say, I sat down actually with a guy recently that wanted to do a business, and we had a long conversation as he's probably in his 50s, and he's looking at quitting his job, and we kind of talked through that option, right? Of does that make sense for him
Hmm.
to do his own business? And I told him I couldn't tell you for sure, what's best for you, but at his income, he was making pretty over 100,000 income, and um, and I told him, it will take some time to kind of get that ball rolling and get going with your business. Like it took us again 5 years to kind of hit that million in revenue mark. And so it's definitely a grind. If you're in that grind already, then stick with it, keep grinding it out. If you're trying to make a decision whether that grind makes sense, it depends a little bit maybe on the income and what you're giving up, what you're trading off to do
Hmm.
business. Um, in the end, I felt like at his income, at the end of the day, a business, if you're not at least profiting above 10% of your revenues, then you're working really hard and
Hmm.
you're not making enough money to might as well put your money in the stock market because the stock market's going to probably grow your money at a little lower than 10%, but you're not going to
Hmm.
have to put all the headache and the work into doing business. So anyways, I think that what I'd want people to get out of this is
Hmm.
there's a lot of advice and help um, that I got from people um, when I started out, and I appreciated that help. So I don't know what they're gonna get out of it, but I just hope maybe something that's been said will help you, whether it's marketing or um, or whether it's um, software systems. We hit a little bit on those
Mhm.
topics. Maybe sales. Maybe you need to improve your sales capability. If you got a great product and you're just not sure how to sell it, I wouldn't just keep putting your. Sometimes I think we can count on Google and other types of marketing systems, Facebook ads and stuff like that to sell it. But at the end of the day, those are going to bring you leads. They're not going to sell it for you. You got to be able to sell it. And
Yeah.
so certainly
No,
having
that's so good.
those abilities to have an intro, have a good way of explaining this is what we offer, this is the price, and then have a close and kind of be able to get that customer to make that choice and go ahead and move forward. So, but yeah.
That is awesome.
Hope-
Awesome. Is there anything I didn't ask you would like to share with our community that I failed to bring up?
No. I think we hit a pretty wide variety of topics. I would say, I love the grind of business.
Mhm.
I think it teaches me a lot about people and
That it does.
so, but yeah, no, if there's any way I can help, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see the growth of your company, to see what you're doing impacting, because, I always say to my attorney friends, they don't always create things, but business entrepreneurs create jobs, opportunities. And so we're so glad you chose to be a business person growing a successful company. And congratulations on really what you're doing to impact our community and our city we live in. Thank you so much, John.
Appreciate it.